for being on my show, Director Talks. And it's lovely to talk with a female screenwriter and so young. And when I saw your page, I was really inspired. Like, I thought, okay, oh my God, I have to get you on the show because I really liked the script and the little quotes and the dialogues that you've put on your Insta page. They're really inspiring. So, how did you get to it? Like, how did it all begin? The story, the idea behind it. Is it a true story or is it like inspirational or anything? How did it begin?
Well, first, thank you so much for having me, and I'm so glad you like this script. It is not a true story, but there are parts of it that are based in life, mostly where the actual script is set, which is in a little mountain town in the Blue Ridge Mountains. That's where my dad currently lives, is a little mountain town. But it began, I really like to write about like family dynamics. And I wanted specifically to write about a generational setting. So that's sort of where the story started. And it started with the character of Mason, who is the main character in the script, and his relationship with Abigail, who is his daughter. And everything sort of stemmed from just wanting to write about those two characters and how they interact with one another.
Right. So Mason is basically inspired by Robert Downey Jr. And
Yeah.
is it because he has a addiction past, like the stories about a father who's been an addict, and then he gives up his daughter. But then there is all those dynamics, flashbacks coming in that I read. It's kind of a flashback story. So with Abigail in his life, how does he react to it, or either like how does it come about? How can you just describe the characters in your story, like briefly for the audience?
Yeah, of course. Mason was a little inspired by Robert Downey Jr., more so in his attitude because he's like a fast talker and he's very witty and sarcastic. And that is the character of Mason. Mason is a man who is like very smart and caring deep down, but has some pretty terrible judgment and just makes poor decisions with the best of intentions a lot. Um, so he obviously is the main character, and he is a man who has struggled on and off with addiction throughout his life. And he was originally attached to Abigail's mother, who is a character named Heather, and we see Heather through flashbacks throughout the script. So the flashbacks are kind of integrated into the present time when he is meeting Abigail, and he remembers different moments with Abigail's mother, like throughout their addiction, and then when they find out they're having Abigail, and how Heather was the driving force of wanting to start the family and maybe solving their addiction problems, but Mason just doesn't quite get there. Um, and then we see Abigail, who is Mason's daughter. At the start of the script, she is 18 and she has grown up her whole life within the foster system. She never actually got adopted. So that has obviously shaped her upbringing and her personality in some ways. She's a lot like her father in that she's also like smart and witty, but very caring on the inside. But she took a lot of the roads that he did not in terms of managing the events throughout her life. She understood very early that she was going to have to be responsible for herself, and she was going to have to lift herself out of the circumstances she was in if she wanted a better life. And then you have Mason's parents, Abigail's grandparents, Dale and Edith. They live within their house, and Edith is kind of the protective mother. She is a conduit between all the characters, but she's not overly pushy. She wants everyone to kind of find their path in their own way. And then Dale is Mason's father, and they have a very tumultuous and tension-filled relationship because of Mason's addiction issues in the past. Dale kind of pushed Mason to be a really responsible adult, and maybe pushed a little too hard and in ways that Mason didn't resonate with or appreciate. And so it created a gap in their relationship that just grew over time. And that comes to the forefront within the script, as it starts off with Mason getting out of rehab and going back to live with his parents, and then the next day Abigail showing up at the house, and they have no idea, Mason's parents have no idea she even exists at all. So he comes home and there she is sitting in between his parents like, hello, it's me.
So that is the whole gist of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So have you thought about writing it into a book, or is just the screenplay that you have written? Like, are you going to come out with a book first? Like,
um I had thought about it originally, but I think the story lends itself more towards being a screenplay and eventually a film. I like when I envision it, I can see it and hear it go in my head as if it was a movie. And I think with the setting of it, with it being in the mountains, it has a very heavy visual of like reliance on different mountain sceneries and things like that. And then I I was originally a music major in college, so music is a very important thing to me and something that I like to work with. And movies lend themselves to having music within the scenes and being able to use that almost as a character or a narrator of sorts. So that's what drew me to a screenplay over a book. I had thought about it, but I think it probably lends itself better to being a visual format.
okay. So as you said, you are a music graduate.
Yeah.
So while writing, how did you visualize it, as a writer or as a musician? Like, or maybe two separate things. How was it?
Um, I think there was elements of both in there. I make extensive Spotify playlists to write to that help me get into the mood of each character and the mood of each scene. And as I write the screenplay, I would pick out certain songs that I knew I would want in the background if it were made into a film or something like that. And so the music always played a heavy part in what I was writing. And so I think being a music graduate actually helped me a lot within the writing process because I could lean on it as a tool to help me like figure out exactly what I wanted a scene to look like and to sound like, and things like that.
So when the script will be made into a film, will you direct the music as well, or will you just sit back and let somebody else do it?
I
The
would
music.
love to pick the music for it. Like I said, I have an extensive Spotify playlist. It's got like over 100 songs on it, so I would have some stuff to narrow down from. I would love to pick the music because I have a pretty solid sense of what I would want the music in the film to sound like and the kind of mood and tone I would want it to set. So yeah, that would be so much fun, honestly. I think that would just be an adventure to be able to actually pick it out.
How about directing it? Would you love to direct it as well, or you would? Who will be your favorite person to like direct this film?
um I think I would like to be involved, but I don't necessarily know that I would like to direct it because I think that having somebody else direct it who could like see it in with fresh eyes. I wrote this screenplay when I was sorry. I wrote the screenplay when I was 24
Hmm.
and now I'm almost 27. So I've had it in my brain for quite some time. Um, and I think that having somebody with fresh eyes who could see the cinematography of it and also see the scenes and the characters and the relationships and like help make that its best visual format would be nice. I don't know exactly who I would want to direct it. I haven't, there are lots of directors that I like, but I haven't like settled on one human being that I'd be like, that is the person. But I think someone else directing it, if I could consult on it, would be really cool.
Great. So, what are your thoughts like about the film? Do you want it to be made now, or how is it gaining response in the film festivals? Like I saw, you have received a lot of awards recently. I think indie short film, something like that, right? And Montreal Independent
Yeah.
Film Festival. So it's doing pretty well, the script. So how is the response from the film committee or community?
Yeah, it's starting to pick up some steam, which was a surprise to me. It won just recently the best unproduced script in the Chicago Indie Film Awards, and then right now it's an official selection in the Montreal Independent Film Awards. And a couple other festivals reached out and asked me to submit it, so I'm waiting to hear back from those as well. It it's been a little wild because I like I said, I originally wrote the script when I was 24, and I just recently like rewrote it from the ground up starting in October, just like went back through and completely redid it. And I at the end of November, like 2-ish weeks ago, I hadn't totally finished it. And then the Chicago Indie Film Awards reached out and said, "Hey, we'd like you to submit it." They reached out on the Instagram.
Mhm.
So I had to like kick it into turbo mode and finish so I could do that by the deadline. And since then, in the 2 weeks, like it's just been an insane thing. Everyone who's received it has been really nice about the feedback, and really enjoyed the script, which is wonderful, but also a little surprising because it's my first screenplay,
Mhm.
and I didn't go to film school or anything, so I just took a like one online class to figure out how to write this. And so it's just been received really well so far, and I've been enjoying that and hope that I can keep that momentum up as well.
Are any producers approaching you to make it, or any directors, anyone from the LA
Um
or New York or somewhere?
not anyone big yet. I've had a couple of like smaller people who do management, or like directors who have done like maybe one or two films be like, "Oh, hey, I'd love to be involved when this gets produced," but it hasn't quite hit anyone who would have the means to actually work it towards production. But I think that's okay. I think it's in its early stages of gaining
Mm.
some publicity. So I'm hoping that as we go further into these different festivals, that it'll gain a little more traction with people that can help it bring it to life.
Yeah, that's true. Bring it to life. So, any favorite scene from the film that you would like to describe it to the audience, or any favorite dialogue situation between the father and the daughter, or something like that? One of your favorites.
Oh, there's a couple. I think so within the beginning of the film, Mason is a bit reluctant to get to know Abigail because this is such a deep and shameful secret that he's had since her mother passed away. But there's a scene, Mason takes a lot of pictures, and there's a scene when he comes home and Abigail is sitting on the couch looking at one of his old photo albums of pictures of that he took of her mother.
Mhm.
And so he comes and sits down next to her and starts like describing the different pictures, and this is kind of his way of trying to bridge the gap because they had previously gotten in an argument about the fact that he has been really reluctant to get to know her. And there's a painting actually plays a big part in the screenplay. Abigail paints and Heather used to paint, and there's a image that Heather painted that hangs over the mantle in the living room in the story. And Abigail sees a photo of it in the photo album, and she asks Mason, like, "What is this place?" And he says, "Oh, it was one of Heather's favorite places." And then he looks at her and he says, "Do you want to go there?" So they end up going to this really spectacular overlook on the Blue Ridge Parkway, which is based on an overlook that me and my dad go to literally every time I go visit him. And it's one of my favorite scenes just because it's the first time that they get to bond a little bit, and it would be so beautiful to actually see it and see them in like a really just drop dead gorgeous view like that, and also getting to know each other on like a personal level for the first time.
Good. That's beautiful. So, I think your dad has played a big role in this writing. Has he supported you? I feel there is
Oh
a
yeah.
certain connection out there with the script. So is it true?
Oh yeah, my dad is super supportive. I did clarify to him that Mason is not based on him,
Yeah.
because I didn't want him to think that. But he's been very supportive of the script and always supportive in my life. He's just been like a backbone for me the whole time, and we're very close. But yeah, the script is heavily based on his town and things that we go do together. So that was the actual real life influence to it, was just things that I enjoyed doing with my dad when I get to see him, because we do live far apart. Um, and he read the script and called me the other day, and he was like, I love this. This is amazing. That's so impressive. And he's just down for everything. Like, he wanted a copy of the little picture that I've been using as the poster and things like that. Like, he's always just down to support me. And that's been really, really helpful at times when I was like, I don't know why or if I should be doing this. So
Yeah. So your Instagram post, all of it, you have edited it. Like, it's very beautiful. The poster and the pictures and the quote, or like the dialogues, I would say, not the quotes. All of it is really beautiful, very eye catchy, and it
thank you.
inspires you to like. Actually, I wanted to know more about the story, but I know we don't have to give out the details. It will be like a spoiler for everyone, so I wouldn't go there. But then it is amazing. Your page, it's beautifully edited, I would say.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it started off as that I was made like a couple of those edits in private and was always texting them to my best friend.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I can't just blow up her phone all the time. Like, I need somewhere to channel all of this energy. So I made it, and then it became a publicity and marketing tool. Um, but it's a lot of fun. I really try to make it look pretty and then put the music onto the different posts so that I can give a more like rounded experience of what I would want those scenes to look like and sound like, that I put the dialogue on, since I don't have an actual like movie to cut clips from. That's about as close as I feel I can get. So
Yeah.
that was the thought process behind that.
Okay. So Eva, before we wrap it up, would you like to send out a message to the audience about your page, your script, your film, and to young people mostly who are not going to film school but still have something in their mind and they would like to write it out as their own story or anything to make it out into a film? Any message for all of them?
Yes. Well, first you can find the Instagram page at The Mountains Are Calling Film on Instagram, and I post every day and I hang out in the messages to talk or comment or anything like that. And in terms of, for anyone who hasn't gone to film school but is still interested in film, I would definitely say don't let the fact that you haven't gone to film school stop you. You have to, if you're truly passionate about it and it's something that you want to do, then it's worth it. You just have to be prepared to put in a decent amount of hard work. And you have to be prepared to go for what you want, no matter what kind of obstacles come up for you, or how hard it seems at some times, because it's not always going to seem like something achievable, but that doesn't mean that it isn't, or isn't something achievable. So I would just say, as long as you're truly passionate about it, you should go for it, because it is worth being able to do something in the end that you are passionate about.
So thank you, Eva, once again for being on my show. It was lovely talking to you, and I
Thank you.
hope it gets made into a film. The Mountains Are Calling is wonderful. I would love to see it on screen very soon. Thank you
Me
so.
too.
Yeah, have a wonderful evening and a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being there.
Yeah, thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye, bye.